What do you get when you mix overpowered heroes, magical worlds, and way too many waifus? That's right, pure anime chaos. Get ready, because today we're diving into the top 10 Isekai Harem anime where the main character is totally, ridiculously overpowered. 10. Loner life in another world. High school student Haruka has always been a content loner. One day he and his class are abruptly transported to another world and given skill points to use when choosing from an assortment of abilities and magical powers. Unfortunately, Haruka arrives last and he can only use his points on the seemingly impractical abilities the others had no interest in. Although he is on his own again and must adjust to his new life by himself, he much prefers it that way. However, Haruka's peaceful solitude is short-lived as he runs into some of his classmates. Weak to their pleas for help, he ends up sheltering and helping them reunite with the others. But the different cliques struggle to see eye to eye, forcing Haruka to find a way to end the infighting and restore harmony between them to survive the unfamiliar world. 9. Dog Days. Dog Days takes place in the world of Flonyard, an alternate Earth inhabited by beings who resemble humans but also have the ears and tails of specific animals. The Republic of Biscotti, a union of dog-like citizens, has come under attack by the feline forces of the Galette Leo Knights. In an effort to save Biscotti, Princess Milhyr summons a champion from another world in order to defend her people. That champion is Sink Izumi, a normal junior high student from Earth. Agreeing to assist Biscotti, Sink retrieves a sacred weapon called the Palladian and prepares for war. In Flonyard, wars are fought with no casualties and are more akin to sports competitions with the goal of raising money for the participating kingdoms. Sink is successful in his role as Biscotti's champion but learns that a summoned champion cannot be returned to their home world. The scientists of Biscotti will endeavor to find a way for Sink to return home, but until they figure something out, he must serve Princess Milhyr by continuing to fight as Biscotti's hero. 8. The Ambition of Oda. And finds himself in the middle of a raging Sengoku period battle. He is saved by the legendary Hideyoshi Toyotomi, but at the cost of the hero's life. With his dying breath, the warrior pleads for Yashiharu to become a feudal lord in his place. Now that the course of history has been changed, Yashiharu pledges to keep the timeline from diverging any further. Yet, after rescuing Nobunaga Oda, whom he discovers is actually the fabled Nobunaga Oda's female counterpart, Yashiharu realizes he has been transported to an alternate reality where most of Japan's historical warlords are now cute girls. To set things right and find a way back home, Yashiharu agrees to become one of Nobunaga's retainers and assist her in a conquest of Japan. As Nobunaga initiates her campaign, Yashiharu discovers that the history he learned from playing the video game, Nobunaga's Ambition, allows him to predict future events and turn the tide of war. Using this invaluable gift to aid the Oda clan's beautiful generals, Yashiharu hopes to help his new lord fulfill her dream and win the hearts of women everywhere. 7. Am I actually the strongest? A 20-year-old shut-in is suddenly transported from his apartment only to appear in front of a goddess who offers him a second chance at life. Although she grants him overpowered magical abilities in this new world, when he awakes as the newborn Prince Reinhardt, his talents are only measured at level 2. Thinking their child to be an abysmal failure, his royal parents abandon him in the woods. There, the prince, who names himself Haruto, encounters Flay, a flame fenrir who decides to devote her life in service to him. Haruto's relative, Gold Zenfis, meets them both in the woods and decides to adopt the child as his own. 9 years pass with Haruto under the care of the Zenfis family. His mastery over his overpowered barrier magic increases by the day, though Haruto would rather not use it to help others. He practices his magic in secret, preferring to have his family believe that he is weak. However, his younger sister, Charlotte, discovers his strength, and with the assistance of Flay, Haruto protects her and the rest of the Zenfis family from harm. With a shifty plot stirring in the kingdom, Haruto only wishes to stay inside and watch anime, but it seems he will have to use his magic to keep the family that took him in safe. 6. The Aristocrat's Otherworldly Adventurer. On his way to a convenience store, Kazuya Shina tries to defend 2 young girls from an armed assailant, only to end up getting stabbed himself and dying on the spot. This good deed allows him to be reborn with all his memories in another world as Cain von Silford, the third son of a Margrave. When Cain turns 5, a baptismal ceremony in the church grants him an audience to the 7 gods who preside over the world. Not only do the gods fill him in on the circumstances of his reincarnation, but they also give Cain their respective divine protections, allowing him to use cheat-like abilities in swordsmanship, magic, and many other aspects. With these blessings, Cain sets out to live a fulfilling life that he deems a dream come true. However, it soon becomes clear that the gods have more plans for him than just a haphazard bestowal of overwhelming power. 5. My unique skill make me up. As a corporate slave, Ryota Sato experiences the worst forms of stress, overwork, and loneliness. Even after he is hospitalized due to exhaustion, his days of toil only become worse. Soon enough, the sheer fatigue catches up to him and kills him in his sleep. However, Ryota is given a second chance at life. He wakes up in another world as a slime drop, much to the surprise of Emily Brown, the petite blonde girl who defeated said slime. Acquainting himself with the rules of this RPG-like world, Ryota finds out that he will never grow past level 1. However, he also discovers that one of his skills is at the maximum level, the skill which determines the rarity of monster drops. This allows him to acquire not only items of the best quality, but also some that are unheard of. Ryota sets out to make the most of his ability, meeting new friends, grinding through dungeons, and acquiring unique items along the way. Reveling in his new life seems to be the long-awaited and much-deserved reward for all the tribulations he had suffered. 4. I got cheat skill in another world. All his life, Yuya Tenju has been the subject of resentment and contempt from everyone around him, even from his parents. To make matters worse, his grandfather, the only person who ever showed him affection, suddenly dies, leaving Yuya truly alone. Despite facing many adversities, Yuya does what he can to offer kindness to those who need it, but even the most good-natured people can only tolerate so much abuse. Just when he reaches his breaking point, a flicker of hope appears in the form of a hidden door in his bathroom. This door provides two-way access to an abandoned house in another world where he instantly gains game-like stats and skills. Moreover, the house once belonged to a sage, which gives Yuya access to remarkable weapons, equipment, and crops with extraordinary effects. With these newfound blessings, the once undesirable Yuya may just reach his true potential and become unstoppable. 3. Demon Spirit Seed Manual. On his way to a convention, Yuan Ding, an otaku, finds himself transported to another world, a fantasy world with magic and demons. After failing the entrance exam at Shuayu Academy, he decides to become a gardener where he learns about the fairy seed. Yuan Ding's life in another world begins, aiming to collect the fairies said to exist in the legends to change his destiny and become the protagonist of this new world. 2. The Master of Ragnarok and Blesser of Einherjar. Some urban legends are best left untested. Yudo Sui gets more than he bargained for when he joins his childhood friend Mitsuki Shirmoya in testing out an urban legend. When he uses his phone to take a picture of himself with the local shrine's divine mirror, he is whisked off into another world, one heavily steeped in the lore of the Old Norse myths. Using his knowledge gained from school and from his solar-powered smartphone, he has the chance to bring the Wolf Clan, the same people who cared for him, to prominence, all while earning the adoration of a group of magic-wielding warrior maidens known as the Einherjar. 1. The greatest demon lords is reborn as a typical nobody. Having reached the pinnacle of human potential, Varvatos was so powerful that the rest of humankind began calling him the Demon Lord, both fearing and respecting his overwhelming influence. As a result, he felt alienated from his fellow humans, leading him to desire true companionship and equal he could call a friend. Hoping his fate will change in his next life, Varvatos decides to start anew and reincarnates 3,000 years later as Ard Meteor, the son of a seemingly ordinary couple in a rural town. Unfortunately, he realizes that even after weakening himself, his strength still overshadows everyone in this era. Moreover, his lack of social skills bars him from achieving his goal of making friends. But worst of all, the repercussions of suddenly abandoning his former position have begun to bite him back in some of the most unimaginable ways possible. From overkill magic to irresistible charm, these overpowered MCs show us why the Isekai Harem genre is so addictively fun. Which one's your favorite? Did we miss any hidden gems? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell for more anime countdowns.